going to 11 tomorrow? It's going to be wonderful. We're continuing to try to raise awareness of some of the permits and licenses you should make sure you see before allowing work to begin on your home. Just ask Bob's. Bob Assadourian is with us this afternoon. You've really made this a personal mission to make sure people know that contractors in this city need a license to work. So thank you for doing that. You brought in a Stony Creek couple last month, and we heard their horrible story in their dealings with someone who was an unlicensed contractor. We had an issue, and I'll talk about that story as we get in a little bit further into our conversation, of an out-of-town contractor who showed up and did work at our house, unbeknownst to us that they were out of town. But I'll save that for a little bit. It is so very important that whether you build a deck, whether you do a new kitchen, when you go out into the community and start looking for someone to do the professional work that you want done, you're putting big bucks into kitchens these days, for example, you have to make sure of certain things. Please, you know, that's your camera. Look into that camera and tell people, please do these things first. You're planning, you're looking, now you're going to be signing on the dotted line for thousands of dollars. What do you need to do before you take that pen to paper?
Well, first of all, Doug, thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you to the viewers. The most important thing I must say is the licensing. Now, I want to be very clear to the viewers. It's not a guarantee. The licensing does not guarantee you perfectly painted walls and that dream kitchen, basement, or bathroom without a single flaw. However, it's a concrete foundation. You know, would you want your new home built on, you know, loose soil, or would you want it on rock-solid concrete? That's the key. Now, this marks my 10th year on television, you know, giving tips and providing homeowners information. Everything starts with the license. You know, if you're a prospective homeowner, I show up to your home, I show you the license. I have a package which includes...
Show your license.
Oh, yes, yes. There's the license. This is what I've been showing the Hamilton homeowners
it's him. I can
for
vouch.
well over a decade now, 15 years. Now, feedback to me has always been the same thing. Oh, we've never heard of it. You know, I engage with the homeowners. I'm a little bit different from your average contractor. I yak a lot. So I'll engage them. You know, obviously, you've hired people in the past. Have you ever seen this license? The answer is almost always no, no, no. Now, the city's done a phenomenal job over the last 6 years to put more, you know, information out there for the consumer. They were running advertisements in some of the community papers as well as the larger papers or outlets. There was something on television as well for homeowners to understand that Hamilton does have a license. Now, it's really important, Doug, if we can break it up. You know, the province regulates electricians and your gas workers, TSSA. They're regulated by the province. That's completely different. But equally important, that your electrician is licensed through the province, and you'll have, again, similar credentials, an actual license ID card. Now, the province leaves it up to the municipalities, and it varies. You know, you mentioned in the intro about somebody out of town, and that's exactly what I'm homing in now. We need provincial regulation for the contractors across the province. They leave it to the municipalities. So some cities have it, some do not. Burlington canceled it around 2001 due to budget constraints through their city hall. They canceled it. It doesn't exist. So now if you live in Burlington, the person that shows up to do your kitchen, basement, or bathroom may very well be a good person, may know what they're doing, or they may have just spent a decade working in retail or from the Big B convenience. Then they show up at your home to build your deck. City's not vetting them, no police examinations, nothing. So that's bad for Burlington. I mean, I do a lot of estimates there, and I try to educate the homeowners that I have a license. People from this city do not have to have a license. Brantford has it. Oakville does not. Toronto calls it the renovator's license. Now, I did some years ago a bathroom in Brantford, just to explain about the out-of-town now. So I called City Hall in Brantford, and I explained to them I do not have the Brantford, you know, contractor's builder and repair license. They asked me how much work I plan on doing in Brantford. I said, well, lots if I'm lucky. You know, it depends, you don't know. This is my first job. He really appreciated my honesty. He was really, really happy that I actually called City Hall to ask, whereas, you know, what contractor would. I told him I am a recipient of Hamilton's. I passed the examination. I've had the license. He says, go ahead, do your bathroom remodel. If you're doing a lot more work, contact us again. We may ask that you write our license. So going through, the cities here throughout Ontario, the majority do not request it, do not mandate it or have it. Hamilton does. So for the Hamilton homeowners, take advantage of your tax dollars. Only hire the contractors that have the license. I mean, first and foremost, it's the law. Secondly, here's what the city does. They put the contractor through a lot of screening. Number one, before a potential contractor can apply to write the examination, they must show a police clearance. So again, now the city's checking to make sure that you don't have some type of extensive, criminal background. Secondly, it's a 2-hour examination on the Ontario Building Code, and that book's about this thick. Big examination on structure, which affects kitchens, basements, bathrooms, and everything. Then again, the final thing they check for, you have to produce proof of insurance. So that's the key. That's why this ticket is so important. Now, going back to my studies, my door knocking, going out and doing my estimates, I broke these stats 10 years ago. Literally, this January marks 10 years where my stats were 85% of Hamilton contractors do not have this license. Now, it doesn't matter, Doug, who you call to your home. Roofer, kitchen, basement, bathroom, the guy that just put shelving up in your garage. The refinishers, 85% do not have it. Talking about refinishers, last month, Mr. Bozzo, who we had here sitting with us.
Yes.
Husband and wife, refinisher fell through the cracks. So anybody at the city listening today, whether it's councillors or whether it's the good people at the trade exam board, I would like the scope broadened so anyone coming to your home, showing up with any kind of toolbox, small, medium, or large, including the refinishers, including the people putting up shelving in your garage, or the full-blown rentals, kitchen, basement, bathroom, the city needs to widen the net so that everybody must have this license, because Mr. Bozzo, number one, at my urging, he contacted the city, he complained about the kitchen, he begged and implored an inspector or somebody to come down, and they'll condemn it. Now, the city could not interject, they could not get involved, because refinishers fall through the cracks. But if you look on those refinishers' website, they do kitchens, basements, bathrooms. So they brought, their own scope of what they can do. So if the city required this license for anyone showing up with any kind of toolbox, they're going to net then the ones that fall through the cracks, which usually are refinishers, painters, even somebody that comes in and just replaces your deck boards. It's a gray area there. You're not tampering with the structure. So the guy that comes in and changes all the deck boards because they've aged, you can't restain them again. He does not need this license. But then again, what if he's putting in deck boards that are too thin to walk on? They're meant for a vertical surface. For cladding, they're not meant to be on the floor of a deck. That's why this is critical, because the city then can interject, they can inspect, they can look, they can help the homeowner.
If this is, I hope I'm understanding you correctly, would you like the province to handle all of this? Because it sounds like there's a hodgepodge of rules and regulations. Hamilton has it, Brantford has it, but Oakville doesn't. Burlington got rid of it.
Yes.
That says to me that there's no place for people to go to remonstrate if something goes wrong, because if Burlington doesn't have a license, that means a bad apple from Mississauga could come and do work there.
Yes.
And there would be no ramifications. There's no place to go for help. Is that
number one would be the province?
Is that the state of things in
yes,
the province?
Yes, the province should take it over. The province completely should take it over. See, it's sort of a respect issue. They have more respect provincially for the electricians and for the gas people. But as far as anybody doing the rest, they leave it to the provinces. But that's where the province has it wrong, and I have the evidence to show. The electrician is going to come in your home. Yes, it's dangerous. It's extremely technical what they're doing. However, they're doing one thing, wiring only. I can come into your home, restructure it. Structure can be equally as dangerous. Homes can collapse. Decks can fall off second stories. So I can come into your home and do thousands of items. Thousands, put chimneys. From the roof to the foundation. My unskilled work potentially as a contractor can cause equal or worse death and liability than the electrician or the gas man. So what does the province do? They leave it to the municipalities, and it's the Wild West. Most municipalities don't come. Burlington had a beautiful program in place, identical to Hamilton. It was budget issues. It was costing them too much. So it's the Wild West now. That's not a far cry when I say you can be a Big B for 10 years convenience or for any type of retail. All of a sudden, I'm going to start my own business. Gather together some tools in the minivan, and out you go, potentially tampering with structure. Or anything inside of a home. Now, if the province does not take it on, or until they deem to take it on, the city needs to broaden the scope. Now, there's a reason the city will tell you the reason we let some people work in people's homes without needing the license is because of permits and structure or danger. If the job requires a permit, kitchen, basement, or bathroom, roofs do not require a permit. However, you must have this license to do roofing. So those are the jobs that the city deems that are Ontario Building Code involvement. Those jobs, you must have the license. However, painting, going in to do shelving, minor repairs, again, there is a bit of a gray area. Changing windows and doors, redecking an entire deck, the top surface, the city does not mandate the license. But they need to for the simple reason of the police clearance, of the fact that the city forces, you have to sign every year at renewal time proof of your policy number for insurance, and it leaves a database. The city will get, they can pressure the contractor. Poor Mr. and Mrs. Boatso for that kitchen. Had an inspector gone in there, I absolutely guarantee he would have condemned. We had the pictures on the screen. He would have condemned the kitchen and then contact that contractor and say, hey, you guys have a license that says City of Hamilton on it. What you did here was robbery. This is atrocious. Make it right, correct it, or we may not renew this license next year. City has the power.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, people should do some research before they sign in the dotted line. If you have seen the company around for 25 years, you see their signs everywhere. There's some famous roofers in this town who do great work, and others who don't necessarily do great work. Better Business Bureau is a place to go. Chambers of Commerce are good places to go to look up information about these companies before you sign. I would think another warning sign would be if someone comes to your home and says it's going to cost X amount of dollars to do this, and oh, you know, sometimes when we pop open those cupboards, we might find something else. I hope you're aware of that. Okay, that's cool. But they should be telling you up front.
And writing it up front. Yes.
So I'll give you two examples. Our deck company out of Waterdown, I'm not going to mention company names, did a brilliant job for us. Homeowners don't necessarily know that I need a permit. I didn't know you needed a permit to build a deck.
Correct.
You need a permit to build a deck. He brought up the fact, I'll go to City Hall, we'll get the permit, etc., etc. The deck is great, great story, loved it. Kind of woke us up to permits. The other one, the water issue.
Yes.
It's a Friday. The basement is starting to bubble and boil.
Wow.
We've got tree roots in our link to the city line. We start calling. We find a company who can come do it that day. They dug the hole. They found what the problem was. Then they repair. No, they didn't repair it properly, and because we hadn't called the city to hook up to the city line to get that problem taken care of, well, there was no inspector there to watch them do the work.
Wow.
I called City Hall because I understood that there was you could get a bit of a rebate if you're connecting to the city line. The chap said to me, did you ask for a permit? No, I didn't know, and it was an emergency. But here's the quality of the staff. He understood the situation, and when I mentioned the company, he said, I'll do whatever I can to help you because they were an out-of-town company using subcontractors in Hamilton. Nothing about permits. And guess what they didn't do, Bobby? The inspector came and showed me after they opened the hole again. He made them open it up so he could see their work. That far short of the city hookup.
Wow.
They covered it up and they were gone.
Wow.
They left it that far short.
You know, Doug,
well,
I'm happy
they had
to tell
come
the
back.
story because people think I exaggerate. People think I make it look worse than it is.
And there are more vulnerable people than you know, a baby boomer. And they prey Well, you tell
Well,
the
always
story.
they prey on the vulnerable. But one key item I want to zero in on that you mentioned about the permit and the responsibility for the permit. The municipality has an interesting way of looking at it. You're the homeowner, it's your home. You are ultimately responsible for the permit. The city really doesn't care who gets the permit, whether it's the contractor or whether it's the homeowner. So in the cases where the homeowner has no clue and the contractor comes in, does the job, no inspections, no visual, no permit, and he disappears. Homeowners in an awful lot of trouble. They'll have to pay to get it inspected, dig up the hole, pull up concrete, if it's sewer work for a new bathroom basement. I always tell homeowners this is a critical number, 905-546-2424, and you ask for two departments. You ask for contractor licensing. So obviously now, don't waste your time, please. Everybody's busy. Don't be calling all these contractors over. Find their names, vet them through the city, find out if they're licensed. Why have 5, 6, or 7 show up when only 1 or 2 are licensed? Have the ones that are licensed compete for your time. Find out the licensing. Second, call the building department and ask them. And that's why you're paying your tax dollars. I'm building a deck. Do I need a permit? I'm doing sewer work. Do I need a permit? The information's there. The staff's amazing.
He just chuckled when I said the name of the company.
Well, they see it all the time.
Because they've got them as one of the 2 bad eggs coming in from out of town, not telling you anything.
They see it all the time.
And they take your check. Well, you know, to do that, that's a $5,000 check.
Yes.
Just like that.
Yes.
Well, at least the city came and actually got some of the rebate because he had sympathy for our situation. I call that great bureaucratic work by a city hall worker.
Always.
Look, we got to wrap up. Amazing. Final thoughts.
Information. Again, always call the city, check for the license, ask for references, and please never mind the 2 or 3. Any phony can make up a few references, a dozen, at least a dozen. Check for chamber memberships, Better Business Bureau information, use the net, and Google. Always Google the prospective contractor by name personally and by the company. You'll be astounded at what you may find on the internet and then realize you don't want this person in your home.
And if you're elderly, you can be vulnerable if you're a single elderly person who needs some work done. Please, if you are not computer savvy, have somebody come and help you and make some phone calls on your behalf. Do not sign anything to somebody who comes to your door.
Never,
trying to
never
sell
the door
you
to door.
something.
And they're always preying on the elderly. They came from a different generation where you didn't have to have the double deadbolts on the door. And they're trusting, but they're accessible. They're retired. They're going to be home. You know, the scams. We happen to be in the neighborhood. We're paving. We happen to be in the neighborhood. Today's special, always in cash. Avoid cash. At all costs, avoid cash. Get it in writing. Pay for the taxes. Keep a paper trail. Then the city can help you out. City does not like when it's done in cash, no paper trail, and the homeowner's crying, help me, I've been taken advantage of. But they participated in their own fraud by paying cash. You know, some people bring it onto themselves.
If
Be
you go
smart.
under the table, danger, danger, danger.
Yes.
If you go
Yes.
under the table.
Yes.
You think you're saving a few bucks, but you may be adding a ton of heartbreak.
Always.
I want to come on your show and learn more.
We need to. You've had me on yours. Are you handy?
Oh, am I handy? My family is laughing out loud right now.
You'll have fun.
I'm somewhat handy.
Half-hour show. I will teach you how to use the tools and some DIY pointers.
Bob Assadourian, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you, Hamilton.
Great tips. We'll be right back to